Hey, Pretty Girl Club. So today I want to talk about that talking point where people say that exoticals try to hang out with unambiguous black women or fat women so that we can outshine them and like take up all the attention whenever we go out. First of all, not only is that an ignorant comment, but I've noticed that a lot of women who do not have pretty privilege, they seem to have this mindset that if you do have pretty privilege, you can't possibly have a friend who's overweight. And it's like, when I'm choosing my friends, I literally choose who to be friends with based on if she's a good person. So if I meet someone who's a good person and she happens to be fat, I'm not going to say to myself, oh, well, she's fat, so I can't hang out with her. Oh, well, she's ugly, I'm not going to hang out with her. So I've noticed that sometimes when people make these talking points, their own inferiority complexes are coming out because it's almost as if they think that they are unworthy of having pretty friends. And so I've noticed that some of them think that by you being friends with them, you must have a hidden agenda. You must want to only be friends with her so that you can look prettier next to her. I even saw this same thing happen with that photo shoot with Tyla, where she was with those dark skinned black men. People were saying, oh, she only wanted to be surrounded by dark skinned black men so that she could look more light skinned. And I've just noticed all of these incredible projections that a lot of people with inferiority complexes will pin onto you as if you maliciously want to befriend someone who is quote unquote fat or someone that you deem as ugly so that you can outshine them. First of all, anyone who is actually pretty does not feel the need to try to pick ugly friends and also outshine them in front of who? Because that language right there, outshine, you're taking up the spotlight. You don't want to share the spotlight. That sort of rhetoric, it's giving you're trying to have the spotlight in front of someone. That means that you have someone you want to impress. You want to be seen by a particular audience. So usually I've noticed that this is based on the male gaze. And oftentimes when people make this talking point, oh, so and so is trying to outshine you, or she just wants to be friends with you to outshine you, what they really mean is she wants to be friends with you so that she gets hit on in the bar more than you. So do you see how some women, they can't even enter healthy friendships because they have this competitive mindset that literally gets in the way of enjoying another person's company. So you're literally cutting yourself off from a potential healthy friendship because you think, oh, well, she's pretty, so she's just going to try to outshine me. So I'm not going to be friends with her. Oh, no, I don't want to go out with her. I don't want to be seen with her. She's just using me as a prop. She's using me as the fat friend, or you know how they say like the designated fat friend. But then my question for those people is, okay, so if you think you're ugly and fat, are you just not going to have friends now? Like, do you think that now you're unworthy of having friends? Or that if you get into friendships, your friendship is going to go bad because your friend is going to look prettier than you at the bar. And once again, it's this mindset of having everything revolve around how are we going to look at the bar? What guys are going to look at me? So it's that social competition. And you guys know how I feel about hierarchy thinking. I think that when it comes to competition, if you make every social interaction into some vicious competition, first of all, that is emotionally exhausting. I mean, I would be depressed if every single person I ever encounter in my life, if I view them all as my competitors or like my enemies or my rivals, that sounds very exhausting to feel like nobody's ever going to be able to genuinely talk to me. Nobody will ever have my back, not even my own family, my sisters. I can't have any friends now. Everybody's my competition. I have to try to compete to be the prettiest girl in the bar. Oh no, she's too pretty. She's going to look better than me at the bar, and that's going to make my self-esteem go down, so I can't hang out with her. All of this rhetoric, it sounds like some sort of femcel rhetoric. And when I use that term femcel, because I honestly don't really like those terms, femcel and incel, because I actually support celibacy, but it makes me wonder, like, okay, are these women just extremely male-centered? Do you feel like every time a woman makes friends, she's only making friends so that she can up her status in the eyes of a man? Because last time I checked, if you are quote unquote ugly and your friend is also ugly, it doesn't make a difference with like, oh, who's uglier, who's prettier. Oh, okay, well, she looks super ugly standing next to this girl. And oh, now she looks like a 6 out of 10 because her friend is only a 4 out of 10. No, a lot of guys will just objectify you no matter who you're around, whether you're by yourself, whether you're not by yourself. And I really feel like a lot of times women who say stuff like this, like, oh, you're just trying to outshine me, you're just trying to outdress me. Women who say stuff like this, they really have an issue with men. I feel like a lot of these women, they have a trauma with men, with like maybe not being seen as desirable by men. Maybe they weren't seen as pretty. And oftentimes these types of women will bring up phrases like desirability politics or pretty privilege. Have you ever noticed that the people who do not have pretty privilege have been the main ones dominating the pretty privilege conversation? So think about that woman that made that video that said, I don't have pretty privilege and that sucks. Oh, Stefco. That video went viral because she had more social leniency in talking about not having pretty privilege. Imagine if somebody said, I do have pretty privilege and that sucks. I mean, that's one of the reasons that a lot of people hate my channel, because I talk about the dark side of having pretty privilege. And whenever you have beauty, it triggers a lot of people's emotions. I remember one of the Exoticals talking about this on a recent video. I don't remember who it was, but shout out to you if you're in the comment section. But I've noticed that when you are perceived as pretty, you automatically can trigger people's insecurities. And it's to the point where apparently certain people who don't feel as pretty as you, they think that you're trying to outshine them. So now you're not allowed to be perceived as a good and genuine person. And this is where that whole stereotype comes in. Oh, she's fake. Oh, so and so pretty girl, yeah, she's fake. She's only being nice to you because she wants to outshine you. Oh yeah, she only wants to be friends with you because you're fat and you're going to make her look skinnier. Yeah, she's not a nice person. So this is where that whole stereotype comes from. Oh, the pretty girl who's a fake ass bitch. You know, the pretty girl who is fake as fuck. She's two-faced. And I really do feel like there is this stereotype that pretty women cannot have genuine friendships, that we're just these snakes, you know, we always have this hidden agenda, we're just trying to make you look super fat, and then we want to go out to the bar because we look more pretty standing next to you. First of all, that's not a good strategy. If you have to rely on somebody else being ugly in order for you to be perceived as pretty, then you're not pretty. No offense. I mean, it's literally easier for a pretty woman to simply enhance her beauty or put on a cute outfit as opposed to making an entire friendship, staying friends with somebody for 5 years, continuously texting that friend, being there for that friend, having all these conversations and hangouts and meetups, all with the agenda of outshining them. That's a very extravagant way to try to outshine someone. And also, if you have pretty privilege already, I mean, you're already naturally shining. You know, you already kind of have a spotlight on you just in your everyday life. So you wouldn't even feel the need to like specifically go and make this friend because she's fat and you just want to feel like you're skinnier. And so now you specifically pick this fat girl, or you pick an unambiguous black woman because, oh, she's going to make me look more light skinned. All of this stuff sounds very idiotic. And I've never in my life heard another pretty girl say, oh, I want to make friends with ugly girls so that I can be the prettiest. I've never heard girls say that. You know what I have heard though? I have heard girls say, I want to be friends with other pretty girls, but I've never in my life heard a pretty girl say, oh, I'm going to find the ugliest people possible and I'm only going to be friends with them so that I can outshine them. So do you see how people, they mystify the pretty women, they mystify the exoticals, they deify you, and they think that you're just this evil mastermind? Because once again, there's that stereotype that if you're pretty, you are also a mean girl, or at least women with inferiority complexes, they tend to stereotype you this way, that you're kind of the pretty mean girl, you're the pretty bully. But even if you look at the mean girl archetype in the media, even the mean girls, they don't usually have friends where it's like, oh, let's pick the ugliest girl so we can outshine her. No, usually an actual mean girl is kind of like cliquey and exclusive and only wants to be friends with other pretty girls, if you think about it. So this whole narrative doesn't even make sense. Oh, she only wants to be friends with me so she can outshine me. Oh, don't be friends with her because she's a pretty girl. She's probably just trying to make herself look better next to you. If she has to do that, then her pretty privilege must not be working then. But I wanted to read this Reddit post because this woman's experience kind of reminds me of the mindset of a lot of women on YouTube. This is actually from the Black Ladies Reddit. She says, I've never felt respected by men when around my light-skinned and non-black friends. I have a lot of light-skinned and non-black friends, and one thing that never fails to amaze me is the amount of disrespect I receive while with them in public. For example, the other day my Indian friend and I went to a bar, and as we stood at the bar, this black man that was in front of us turned behind and specifically told my friend, go ahead, while opening his arms towards her. My friend walked forward He then looked at me and immediately cut me off, went behind her, and started chatting with her. I just stood there for a couple minutes. Then she came and later asked why I didn't follow her, and I honestly didn't even bother telling her why. Okay, but that's a communication issue right there. So she's saying that her friend, this black guy, cut her in line so that he could talk to the Indian friend. So these are both issues with her own boundaries. She could have called his ass out and said, "Excuse me, I'm here with my friend. I want to stand next to my friend." So that's very easy. You can tell that Dusty to get away. You can say, "Oh, hey Sarah, I wanted to stand next to you." Like if you don't want to talk to the black guy, you could have just talked to your friend. "Hey Sarah, I want to stand next to you. Like this makes me feel safer when we're just talking." So notice how she already has a lack of boundaries. So she's actually allowing herself to be disrespected. She allowed the black man to step in front of her and basically turn his back to her so he could talk to her friend. Also, if she is friends with this Indian woman or something and they're about to go out to the bar, this is a conversation you can have with your friend. "Hey, are we talking to guys tonight? Are you planning on getting drunk tonight? Are you planning on going home with any guys tonight? What is your style when you go out to the bar? Are we just going to stay to ourselves? Are we going to flirt with guys? How do you normally act at the bar?" These are the types of questions that I like to talk to my friends about before we go out. I mean, if I'm meeting up with a friend, I will ask my friend, okay, are you dating anyone right now? Are you single? Are you kind of talking to guys or not? And usually me and my friends will make an agreement before we even go to the bar. So I'm already seeing that this black woman who posted this, she has some sort of communication issues with her friend and even with this dusty black guy who was rude enough to kind of step in front of her. So that's already a lack of communication and a lack of boundaries. She says, "Then she came later and asked me why I didn't follow her." So her friend is even asking her, "Hey, why didn't you follow me?" She says, "I honestly didn't even bother telling her why." So, but that's another thing. You didn't tell her, "Hey, it made me feel left out when I was standing on the side," or, you didn't express yourself. So you're repressing all of these emotions. And of course you're going to feel disrespected because you're acting like a doormat. She says, "Then later that night, we went to another bar, and as we're sitting at the bar, this other black man comes to sit beside her, interrupts me as I'm speaking, never introduces himself, buys my friend a pizza to share, and continues to talk to my friend for the next 30 minutes until we leave. My friend offered me pizza multiple times, but I kept saying no, as why the fuck would I want to be sharing a meal that he bought for only the two of you?" So that's also the wrong attitude. If you have a friend that's pretty and she just got a free pizza, and then you have this attitude that, "No, I don't want any of the pizza because he bought it for you," I feel like that's kind of messed up. Okay, so I can tell a story time for me. So when I went to a bar with my friend, she actually happens to be a dark-skinned, unambiguous black woman. No, I did not go to outshine her. She's drop dead gorgeous. She's more in shape than I am. She has nothing wrong with her whatsoever in the pretty privileged department. But we went out to the bar and this guy offered to buy me a drink, and I don't drink. And me and my friend, we actually made a deal. She was like, "If any guy gets you a drink, can you get me a vodka soda," or whatever drink she wanted to have. And so anytime a guy would offer to buy me a drink, I would ask for my friend's favorite drink, and then I would give her the drink. So to the person who posted this, you could have just enjoyed your friend's pretty privilege or your friend getting a little perk. Because the way I see it is that if my friends are getting pretty privilege, that's great because now we get to have a better experience. All of us, we all get to get in for free, or we all get free drinks, or we all get to just relax and have a good time or go into the VIP section. But you can tell that this woman, she's very much internalizing these negative social experiences. And it's really not necessarily a negative social experience. It's really just her witnessing her friend's pretty privilege. So what she seems to be doing is she's comparing herself to her friend, and she's saying, "Oh, my friend, this guy bought a pizza and then this other guy talked to her for 30 minutes. But would she have had the same attitude if the guy would have bought her a pizza or talked to her for 30 minutes? Probably not. So once again, this whole conversation, it's not about social justice, it's more so about social status. Because usually the ones who complain about others having certain privileges, those women want that same privilege for themselves. So, and then she says her friend offered her pizza multiple times. So imagine a guy buys you a pizza at a bar and you want to enjoy it with your friend that you came to the bar with. And you're like, "Hey girl, do you want some pizza?" No. Are you sure you don't want any pizza? No. So that's not making the experience any better because you're also not enjoying the perks of your friend having the pretty privilege because I guess you're mad or you're sour because you wanted the pretty privilege for yourself. She says, then as we're leaving, he follows behind us to have another conversation with my friend outside and know what our plans are for later. And not one time during this did he introduce himself. So once again, she sounds like she really wanted to talk to this guy. I mean, if you are so upset to the point where you are venting on Reddit, you could have simply asked that guy, what's your name? Or like, hey, my name is so and so. If it's that serious, I mean, if you really wanted to talk to the guy that bad and you really wanted him to introduce himself to you that bad and you really cared, then you could have introduced yourself or said, hey, my name is so and so. What's your name? She says, this has honestly been one of thousands of situations, with the worst being a time where two guys played rock, paper, scissors over my friend at the club. The winner gets her and the loser gets me. In all honesty, it can be very easy to say just ignore it, but I experience this every single time I go out, to the point that I'm starting to resent going anywhere. So if those guys are playing rock, paper, scissors and the loser gets you, you could have easily said, fuck this, I'm not participating in this, and walked away. Or you could have roasted that guy. Like, I would have roasted a guy. Like, if somebody would have disrespected me that bad, and I truly felt like angry or something, I would be like, I'm not participating in this, or no thanks, I'm not interested in either of you. But it sounds like, once again, she's got a lack of boundaries, so she allows men to disrespect her and play rock, paper, scissors, and the loser gets her, and she doesn't stand up for herself. She doesn't tell these guys, hey, excuse me, I'm better than that, or I'm worth more than that, or I don't like being treated that way, I don't want to get treated as second best, like, no thanks, I'm not interested. So she, once again, has no boundaries. She just comes on Reddit and complains. She's internalizing all of these scenarios. I know it's easy to say just ignore it and move on, but in all honesty, it does feel uncomfortable, and I'm always standing there wondering if I should cut into their conversation or not. Okay, so this tells me you have a lack of social skills, because once again, you could have talked to your friend beforehand, like, hey, are you going to be talking to guys? Or you could have, like, talked to other guys. Because again, this is something that me and my friend have done before at the bar. So like, we will decide before we go in there, are we going to talk to guys? Okay, maybe if a guy is cute, then like I can talk to this guy, you can talk to another guy. But that's something that we would discuss before we go to the bar, so that if a guy is talking to me, usually if there's like one guy talking to me and he has a friend or something, then my friend might talk to the other guy. Like, these are all typical girl code conversations that could be had before going out. She says, I never feel acknowledged in any way, and it's even worse when my friends don't notice it at all. Like the one I have above. Okay, so she's mad because her friends don't notice and she doesn't feel acknowledged. So once again, she could have talked to the guy, she could have talked to her friend, but no, instead of that, she wants to, I guess, get mad that she is not receiving pretty privilege. And this reminds me of that talking point that, oh, my friend's only here to outshine me, or she just wants me to be the wingman so that she can try to like be prettier than me. And all of this stuff is really just very presumptuous. These are assumptions. Like, unless somebody directly says to you, I want to be your friend to outshine you, then you cannot prove that that's what they want. So you should probably not get pissed off over something that you don't even know to be true. But I've noticed that women with inferiority complexes, they have a tendency to be pissed off before something bad even happens. So you could be a pretty girl just trying to make friends, and then she's automatically thinking, oh, well, she's probably trying to outshine me. Or, oh, this guy's black, he's probably a colorist. Oh, this guy's Indian, he's probably a colorist. Oh, she's light skinned, she probably thinks she's better than me. Oh, she's skinny, she probably thinks she's better than me because I'm fat. So do you see how people's internalized inferiority complexes lead them into these bad situations? And for the girl who has all these insecurities about going out to the bar, I would say, number one, you should not be going out into social situations if it gives you anxiety or if it makes you feel disrespected. I would work on my own confidence first, and then maybe practice going out on my own and building up social skills, because it sounds like that girl was lacking in social skills, and then she just got pissed off when nobody acknowledged it. But it's not everybody else's job to constantly acknowledge your emotions. It's your job to regulate your own emotions internally. It's not my job to be hypervigilant about your emotions. Oh, well, how is Sarah feeling? Oh, does she feel outshined? Oh, is she mad because this guy's talking to me? Oh, I just got a pizza. She doesn't want any pizza. Is she mad now? That sucks. Like, that would suck to have a friend where I feel like I have to constantly walk on eggshells because, oh, she's going to get offended if a guy talks to me and he's black. She's going to think he's colorist, or she's not going to want any pizza because he didn't buy her the pizza. He bought me the pizza. That sounds very draining to be around. And also, if you truly feel like somebody is only your friend to boost their ego, then why would you let them be your friend? Don't let them become friends with you then. If you feel like they are trying to come into your life for disingenuous reasons, then don't befriend them. Don't continue hanging out with them. Don't continue talking to them. You can't just make friends with someone that you already thought was fake, or you already thought she was going to outshine you, and then you get mad when she does. So once again, either way you spin it, she still has lack of boundaries, bad social skills. But what do you ladies think? Have you ever had a friend that accuses you of trying to outshine them? Have you ever heard that narrative that pretty girls are friends with quote unquote ugly girls so they can outshine them, or they're friends with bigger girls so they can be seen as skinnier? What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.